What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into another video created by Jordan. It's early on a Tuesday morning and I'm on the move. Today I want to talk to you guys about why I decided to become an entrepreneur. And it really boils down to about 2 or 3 really big turning points for me. As I mentioned in one of my last videos, the first one was being lied to as an employee and promised things that never came about. The second big one was graduating high school early on a very specific day that, I was on my way to pay some bills. Taking a look at the names on those bills and the prices associated with said bills really hit me in a powerful way, as I've stated before, and it really inspired me in one of the most profound ways I've ever been touched by something. And it gave me, the drive and the idea to put my own name and my own brand on a service or a product that I could call my own and ultimately achieve my own power and freedom over what my financial future might look like. To this day, I'm super thankful that I had done that and that I challenged what it was I was doing at that moment. So, like I said, the power I felt behind starting my own brand is really what pushed me to start, right? And the next turning point for me was couple years later when I had already gotten my start. And to get a little bit more detailed about my start and up to that next turning point, I started doing freelance services on Craigslist. I started getting calls right away. Little did I know my area was deficient in the service that I was providing, and I didn't deem myself a pro at the time. I was only 18. I had just got out of high school, and I was always honest with my customers. I shouldn't call them customers, they're clients. So like I said, I was always honest with my clients and letting them know what my experience was, what I was capable of, and what I was confident doing or trying. And the client base that I was able to gather would offer me different opportunities within the service trade that I was working in, and it really gave me the on-the-job work experience I needed to grow into being able to perform and deliver high-quality services that paid better than what I started doing. And so, however, the service I was doing is somewhat seasonal, and when winter comes around, the workload dries up a little bit. So that always caused me to reach back into the job field and, find something that would hold me over until the next season came back around. Typically that would be either a construction company that was busy for the winter, or a production facility, or I worked at a couple different warehouses. So I carried a variety of different jobs, and I did that again for 2 years, bouncing from various different types of winter work. And the place I was at really was where that in the winter of 2013 and 14, I was working at 2 different places where all of this kind of occurred in my brain. The first one being a parts manufacturing facility. They made brake lines for a couple different automakers. And then the next one happened to be a parts distribution warehouse where they would basically just pack parts for hours on end. Literally take a brand new part. They came in a box of more parts, and you put it into its own individual box so it could be sold to a end-use buyer. And in these 2 environments I was in, I was surrounded by people that weren't necessarily my demographic from an age perspective. It was a lot of middle-aged families, in a lot of cases husbands and wives, or just the male of the house, or just the woman of the house. And mind you, the wage that I was making was very comparable to theirs. I want to say it was somewhere around 12 to 13 bucks an hour between the two facilities. And even working those 40-hour weeks and seeing what I was getting paid and looking around me, it really made another deep impact on me that I could potentially be one of those people that was okay with making $13 to $15 an hour on the high end, for a living. And I knew based on what I was making that even at $15 an hour, an extra $80 a week wasn't going to cut it for me. And I remember telling myself, you got to go all in. And so literally my very next paycheck, I turned my freelance service operation into a real LLC. I bought an LLC with my very next paycheck. At that time, I just happened to use LegalZoom, no endorsement involved there, no sponsorship whatsoever. That's just the path that I took. It seemed like the path of least resistance for a guy like me who was very green in the business world at the time. I didn't really know the individual steps, and I knew if I just did LegalZoom that it was gonna expedite the entire process for me to some extent. Expedite in the way of not having to do the research. Years later, I've started other companies and I do know the individual steps, and I would do that for any future company that I start, as it is significantly cheaper and not much more difficult. So those were really the 3 turning points for me. And to sum that up, it was being lied to as an employee. Number 2, being inspired by having to pay other bills in my life and the power to create bills of my own. And number 3, being surrounded by people that were in an age group that was older than mine and were comfortable with a wage that I was already making. And I knew at that point that I wouldn't be satisfied with that. And so I reverted back to my original service that I had started, dove all in. I've gone, like I said, all in with it. It is 6.5 years later. I've managed to eclipse my revenue amount every year for 6 years in a row now. Since I did extremely well last year, this year might be pretty tough to eclipse what we did in 2019, especially in the year of the pandemic. But I still got 3 months left, so got a lot of time to get there, and really not that far away. So it'll be a fun race these last few months to see where we get, and we'll go from there. And I do plan on keeping things going into 2021. However, I do have a lot of ideas to alter my business and to adjust and adapt with the way the world is evolving. And hopefully you can cut some of the fat off of my business, if you will, some of the things that aren't maybe serving me so well, some of the things that cause me a little more stress than I feel like dealing with, and see what kind of changes that makes, see if revenue can stay the same. But ultimately making some of those changes will be a considerable risk to take, and we'll see where that puts us, and continue to pick up the pieces and keep moving. And so that's kind of the story of my first business, and in a quick, simple form to where I'm at today. And I'll get further in greater detail about that business in other videos, but today I really just wanted to talk about the turning points that caused me to become an entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, stick around for more videos.